Welcome everyone to the Inspired Choices Network TV show. I'm your host, Christine McIver. Today we're going to be speaking with a woman who is really making it happen. Today we're going to be speaking with Reverend Janice Chrysler. Reverend Chrysler is a metaphysical minister, certified hypnotherapist, Reiki Master, author, spiritual coach, and intuitive reader. Amazing. That's a long accolade. You are an ordained metaphysical minister who has combined 12 years of experience and trained as a certified hypnotherapist, Reiki Master, meditation, and workshop facilitator and author under the title of Spiritual Growth Facilitator. I like that title.
Yeah.
You've written several online magazines and most recently published your own book, Make It Happen. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Motivation, meditation, and manifestation is what we're speaking about today. And you're also the creator of several guided meditation recordings and oracle cards. Do you have any spare time, Janice?
Not really.
You've also volunteered for victim services for 2 years, and then the past 2.5 years has been the meditation facilitator at the Paths of Courage retreat with the Sexual Assault Center. That's amazing. For the past 8 years, donations have been made to these two amazing groups through Women in Wellness, hosted by your service, Mindful Journey. Over the years, many men and women have come to your private hypnotherapy sessions to empower them to deal with past abuse or to leave an abusive situation today. Clients are given tools to using meditation and positive affirmations on their own as a continuing tool for self-improvement to make the changes necessary in their lives. So Janice uses her intuitive gifts to guide her in holding space for those in private sessions or in leading groups and workshops in order to assist others in awakening mind, body, spirit connection in all aspects of their life practices with light, love, and healing. Beautiful. Just beautiful. You know, Janice, it's wonderful to have you here, first of all.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad we got connected.
Yeah.
You know, Janice, there are, thankfully, a lot of people opening up to the practices of what you've probably been doing for most of your life. It feels like, at least to me, that it's kind of like people in all walks of life now are like, yes, this is normal, or this is something that they're quite open to. Have you been finding that as well?
It's starting to. I live in what was a relatively conservative area, so these are a lot of new ideas, even for myself. My own personal journey, it's been a lifetime, but I would say actually started about 15 years ago, and I've seen a huge difference in people's attitudes towards things like Reiki and hypnosis, and it's been a matter of just having some people like myself stepping out of their comfort zone and being willing to talk about it and open their practices up. And people are looking for alternative ways to deal with so many things in their life.
Right. So where did you start your journey? Like, was this your first profession?
Oh, no. I'd say, as kind of corny as it may sound, as a small child, I remember thinking and feeling that I was going to be doing something spiritual in my life. And of course, I didn't really understand what that was at the time. But so I was always searching in that avenue, and I always wanted to be a teacher. And when I didn't go through to be the traditional teacher, I did find joy in that by volunteering in schools and the religious organizations I was involved with. I would be, you know, like a Sunday school teacher or choir master and things like this, to help fulfill that. And as I went along, and when I started to get involved with Reiki and then eventually hypnosis, I found that I really liked teaching people what I had learned. So that's when I began to design and facilitate workshops.
Right.
So it's been a lifetime, but it's always been there.
It's always been there.
Yeah.
What had you reach out to? Was Reiki the first modality that you reached for?
One of them. I had already started to meditate, And then through life circumstances where I had to, because of physical issues, I had to leave a job that I knew I had to leave at some point anyway. I went back to school, got a job, and through that job I met someone who was a Reiki Master. I hadn't heard of it before, so we had lots of talks over lunch and things like that, and so I learned Reiki from her, and that just started to get me asking questions and put me into that role of being a teacher. And my intuitive gifts opened up then as well. As I was working with people in their energy field, I was starting to pick up things about them intuitively, and I found it was mostly related to their emotional and spiritual issues they were working through, and that's what led me to the hypnosis then. I thought, how can I help them even further? So it's
So tell us about, for anybody out there that really doesn't understand, give us a little brief around Reiki. And then how the intuitive gifts come to you.
Well, Reiki is very old. Reiki itself is just light work, we call it, energy, where I don't have to touch the person. So I say it's like a touchless massage. And the practitioner uses their hands to work over the person's aura, over their body, and we can pick up the energy coming from their energy fields within the body. And every energy field has some kind of physical, emotional, or spiritual attribute to it. And some people are very, that do this, are very physically attuned. And where I said, like with myself, I tended to pick up more so on the person's emotional issue that may be behind the dis-ease of the body.
Okay.
And so
you're going more to the root.
Going to the root of the problem. And the idea of Reiki is to align all these energy centers to bring balance.
Okay.
For healing. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so how do you receive your intuitive messages? Yes, because there's so many different ways.
Yes.
I'm always curious how someone does.
Well, as I said, when it started with the Reiki, the whole idea is, as a practitioner, when you begin it, you open yourself up to receive universal life force energy to flow through you. And you use your intuition to read those messages that come through. And I found as I was working on people, sometimes I actually had maybe a past loved one come through with a message for them. So I would take a moment and I'd say, okay, do I need to tell them what I'm hearing right now? And if I felt it was yes, I do. And so I had one gentleman that came to me for 3 sessions because it was not so much for the Reiki, he wanted to hear the readings. So then I kind of decided, well, maybe this is something I could do for people as well. And to me, they're a form of spiritual coaching. Because we always get into that. There's a reason this message is coming through for you. There's a reason that I'm being told by your guides or through my guides that this is a direction you should be taking. And so that we end up talking about that. And the choice is ultimately up to the person receiving the reading, whether they follow that message or not.
Right, right. Yeah. So you're doing Reiki and you start doing this. What do you call it? Spiritual coaching?
Yeah, it's sort of like a spiritual coaching then, for lack of a better word, I guess. Right. And like some people come to me just for the coaching, so that's more when we just talk about things, but I usually incorporate hypnosis with that as well to instill positive affirmations, because it's usually change that they're looking for. But on my part, when I'm listening, I'm allowing my intuition to guide me in the way that I deal with that person, what I feel they need and would be most helpful to them at that moment in time. Right.
Yeah. And what does it look like when someone is having hypnosis? Are they laying down? Are they closing their eyes?
Oh, they close their eyes, and there's still a lot of misconception about hypnosis too. They think of what they see in movies with the the watch going back and forth, and I don't use anything like that. But no, to me it's very similar to when I lead a meditation class, because I incorporate the same grounding techniques from both. But they sit in a chair, make themselves comfortable, close their eyes. I alter my voice to be very soothing, and I first of all start by relaxing them, the physical body, and it puts the conscious mind at rest, and so that we can get into the subconscious mind, especially if we're doing regressions of any kind, whether it's age or past life regressions, which that's kind of what I specialize in. That's where the cell memory is, and so that's how we can get to that to make changes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, they're always aware of what's going on too. Sometimes people are afraid they're in a trance and they're not going to remember anything, or that I'm going to be doing something to them. I'm going to be doing a mind control with them. And I said, I don't have time for that. You know, I'm not going to try to control your mind. But we talk about why we're doing this before we begin, so they're aware of the changes that we're going to be making, the positive affirmations. If I'm doing that with them, we create a safe place for them in their mind to go to if the hypnosis gets where they feel I need to come out of this for a while, and to do inner child healing work before I bring them out. I just don't have them remember things and then, there you go home now and sort it out. We deal with the whole package.
So they walk away understanding everything that took place.
They remember
and
everything.
They feel safe. And okay, I love that.
And they talk to me the whole time. So I've had some people say, well, I wasn't even sure while it was happening if I was even hypnotized, because I was so aware. But then when they go to come out of the hypnosis, then they realize how relaxed their body was and how they didn't feel like they could move their arms or legs or anything.
Right.
So it's going to that place similar to before you go into deep sleep, where you're aware but you don't care. And that's how it is with the hypnosis.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing hypnosis for?
2007, so 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. And you are located in Ontario.
I am in the village of Marmora, which is halfway between Toronto and Ottawa on Highway 7. And I travel around too. I facilitate workshops in workplaces and schools and wherever anybody wants me. I come up here to do TV shows, which thank you again for having me.
Fabulous.
So
that's wonderful. Well, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we get back from break, I really want to get into the journey of your book and what you share in here, and anything else that we want to have a conversation about.
Sounds good.
Motivation, meditation, and manifestation. I love it. All right, everyone, stay tuned. We'll be back right after this break, where we'll be speaking more with Reverend Janice Chrysler about her journey with making it happen. Have you thought about bringing your voice to the world? Are you looking to have a global platform that you can connect with? At Inspired Choices Network, we create an opportunity for you to bring your voice each and every week to a global platform. We support you, we train you, we bring your podcast out to more than 50 platforms. We are a network of building a community where we're bringing conscious voices to the world. If you're looking to have more of an opportunity, if you're looking to bring what you know to the world, do connect with us. You can contact us at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, or you can send an email to becomingahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. We'll have a conversation and we'll show you what truly is possible. Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Inspired Choices Network TV show. I have a wonderful guest, Reverend Janice Chrysler, here today, and we're talking about her journey to being who she is today, a real spiritual journey, and what you do in the world. I love that. So, Janice, we have your wonderful book, Make It Happen. Tell us about the journey to this and what you talk about in this book. I really enjoyed the beginning. I haven't finished it yet, but I really enjoyed the beginning of reading the book.
Well, I think it really went back to when I started doing weekly meditation classes. I just held them in my home, and I had handouts for everybody about the topic for the evening. And it wasn't until one lady said, I've been coming here all these years and I've got a big thick binder at home with everything. And someone else spoke up and said, why don't you write a book? And then I had it happen about 3 or 4 times where someone said, why don't you write a book about all of this? And I thought, I guess that's what I should do. And so I went to a workshop, a weekend workshop about publishing your book and writing your book, because I didn't know anything about it. And I thought, I'm going to do this. And I went there with ideas of a couple different stories, but by the end of the weekend, I had chosen the name Make It Happen and decided to go from there. And even though it isn't about me, I have done everything in that book. And again, part of my journey is to teach to other people what I've learned so far. And then I learn so much from other people too, every time I see a client or do a workshop. And I found the biggest thing was that we stand in our own way of moving forward. So that's the start of the book. That's the motivation part. It's talking about, first of all, what is it that brings you joy in your life? Whether it's walking in the rain or petting your cat or if it's something bigger than that, what is it that really brings you joy? Not just makes you happy for the moment, but deep inside of you that even when things go wrong, you know you can reach in there and grab that and you're going to feel that joy.
So I'm curious, you said we stand in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you experience that as well?
Oh, for sure. I didn't realize it at the time, but what I was doing, like a lot of people, making excuses for not moving forward with your purpose, even though it wasn't really too sure what it was at the time. But I was pretty set in my mind on the way things were, and I wasn't listening to other people's stories so much. And when I started to do that, then I started to ask questions. And I was kind of scared of asking questions.
So who were you asking questions to?
I guess the universe as a whole, like, what am I doing here? What is my purpose here? And, why do bad things happen to good people? And like all of those sorts of things. And so then even knowing that I should be felt that little inside push to be looking for a different job and things, I was using the excuse that, oh, my kids are too small. Well, then my kids went to college. I couldn't say that. And, just making all excuses why I couldn't go. And of all things, I found the answer in a Dr. Seuss book.
Oh my, I love that part of the book.
Yeah.
You should tell this part. This is so good.
I always liked reading Dr. Seuss to my kids when they were little. And then when they got old enough that they didn't need me to read to them anymore, it was kind of sad. But anyway, I still liked Dr. Seuss. And then when my daughter graduated from college, they actually read, The Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. And I went out and bought the book. That was one I didn't have. Tucked it away. And then when I was going through this, knowing that I needed to make some changes, I was kind of guided to pick that book up and read it. And I thought maybe I'm being sentimental about my kids not being home or something. But when I read it, I thought, this is me. It's telling me that I have choices to make in life and only I can make them. Mm. And it's going to have some dark times where you feel very alone, and then there's other times, I think he says, like when boom boxes are playing. And then he said there's going to be the most useless time is time you're going to spend in the waiting room. You're waiting for things to happen, you're waiting for people to say things, you're waiting, all these people waiting, and you're sitting there waiting with them. And I realized that's where I was. All the reasons that I had for not moving forward was just excuses, and I was waiting there for things to happen, and I had to be the one to make it happen. So that's when I did it.
And that's where it came through.
It came through. So I just started meditating with purpose, and trusting the answers that I was getting to be true, not overanalyzing anymore, just saying, that feels good, I'm going to do it, and just agreeing to it. Right. It's even like being here today. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going, hey, she asked me, yes.
That's really interesting. I've had that philosophy most of my life. Mm-hmm. When an opportunity came along, yes.
Yeah.
And I found myself skydiving.
Okay, I haven't done that.
And just a few weeks ago, went in a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And sometimes these moments where we say yes, whether it's a job opportunity or connecting with someone, or you're even doing some adventure, they can really pull us back and make us scared. And yet, those are the moments where I have found, for myself and for my clients, is those are the moments where we really start to lean in, and we really start to enjoy and savor more of what's available to us. And I think especially in those uncomfortable moments is where we learn more about ourselves. I know I have for myself.
Oh, most definitely.
Have you found that for yourself as well?
Oh, yeah. And people don't realize how much how many fears we have. It's our ego stopping us from doing things. And when we start to get rid of the fears, and we have to keep peeling it back like an onion, because at first we think, well, I'm afraid of, say, speaking in front of people. Well, why are you afraid of speaking in front of people? Well, I'm afraid of what people will think. I'm afraid of failure. Some people are afraid of success, because then there's like this image they have to live up to. So they'd rather not do anything. And we get in what I call the comfort zone. Even though it's uncomfortable, it can be a bad situation. That's why people stay in abusive situations. They don't like being there, but they're afraid they don't know what's outside of there. At least they know that when that door slams a certain way, what kind of mood someone's in when they come in the house. Oh my gosh. You know, and that's horrible.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. My father struggled in his life, and I could tell by the way he walked. I could hear the footsteps, and I knew whether it was going to be a great night or it was going to be a challenging night.
Yeah, and then as the recipient of that energy, you have that knot in your stomach, or or something like this. So if people can allow themselves to overcome that fear of the unknown, which is usually what it is as well, and take that step out, they'll say, but what if this happens? I said, yeah, but what if something wonderful happens?
Right.
And you're denying yourself that opportunity. And I like to get past thinking of things as good or bad or failures or successes. Everything's a life lesson. So what did I learn from it? If it wasn't such a great experience, well, maybe I won't do it again.
Right.
And if the bad things that you consider bad things keep happening, we need to step back and think, what's my role in this? Am I allowing a pattern to happen? And how can I break it?
I agree. We need to take some more pauses and really look at our choices and our impact within them. You work with a lot of individuals from all walks of life, but you do work with people who are in abusive relationships. How does spirituality play into working with those individuals?
A big part of it is, again, helping them to become empowered, to understand that they do have the power to make change, that they have confidence in who they are, and that they're worthy of these changes. Depending on the situation, a lot of them have been made to believe or allowed themselves to believe that this is the best that they can get and they don't deserve anything else. And sometimes they don't even realize that they're thinking those thoughts about themselves. And that's where hypnosis comes into play, is because we can go back and kind of objectively look at these situations, and I'll say, now look at your part in them. It's not finding faults, it's just, what could I have done to change that? What can I do now to change this? So it's very important that they have that knowledge, that they have the tools to allow themselves to get out of it, because we're the only ones living in our own head and knowing exactly how we feel. So they need to feel good about themselves first and make changes. And just taking that first step, sometimes just making that step to come see me, is huge for them. So I like to give them tools that they can take home and keep growing.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So in the book, you go through a lot of different things. It's really a tool.
Yeah.
The book in itself, you're teaching people exactly what you talk about one-on-one, but in a condensed version.
Yeah, exactly that. Like I said, I start out by, it sounds like a simple question, but people have difficulty answering it. If I say, list 6 things that bring you joy, people really struggle with that. And yet if I said, list 6 things that really tee you off, they'd have no problem.
17.
Yeah, they'd have 2 pages. It'd just be full. So it's to start with that self-examination. Too often we don't ask ourselves those questions because we're afraid of the answers. And then if you have the answers, you've got to do something about it. So the 3 life questions is, who am I? What is it I desire? And what is my purpose? Every decision we make in life is based on how we feel and answer those questions about ourselves. And if you've never asked those questions, chances are you could be living someone else's life. You're living what you think other people want you to do, especially as children. We may grow up and take a profession that our parents want us to do. And then one day we think, well, wait a minute, this is their life, not mine. So we need to reevaluate that, then look at the fears. Okay, now that I've addressed those things, how can I help move forward? That's where meditation comes into play, taking that time for yourself to really connect with your higher self so you understand who you are and where you want to go.
Kind of putting out all the noise and allowing yourself to get to know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, and being okay with who you are.
Right, falling in love with you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So Janice, where can people connect with you if they'd like to learn more or reach out to you and work with you?
Well, I have a website, mindfuljourney.ca, and I have a contact page there. And of course, as you read through my website, you'll learn about everything that I offer. I have an event calendar on there as well for different workshops that I have coming up. And yeah, that's the best way to reach out to me.
That's wonderful. And where can they get your book?
The book is also on my website. And if they call in or contact me now with this, I really want to get that in the hands of people right away. So if they mention that they saw this show, then they will get a free ebook. So that's a $10 value for them. But they can get that right away so they can start reading it. They'll also get the paperback, and then I'm donating a portion of that to the Paths of Courage Retreat Sexual Centers as well.
Oh, wow, that's
so
wonderful.
It's a give and receive for everybody.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing and for putting this book together to support other people. It really is a gift, and I'm so pleased, as I said at the beginning, I'm so pleased that these things are becoming normalized, that people are starting to open up to, there's a possibility here I can go beyond drugs and medication and numbing myself and really start to change my world by becoming quiet, by really looking at my choices and changing them.
Yeah, it's a great change to be going in. I'm very happy to be part of it.
That's wonderful. So thank you very, very much for being here. If you would like to connect with Janice, please go to her website, mindfuljourney.ca. And be sure to join us again next week. We're going to have another fabulous guest who is choosing to inspire themselves and the world around them.